You've probably heard the phrase, do not judge, especially when someone is being corrected. It's one of the most quoted lines from the Bible, and it's usually used to shut down any form of criticism. But is that really what Jesus meant? Let's look at where the phrase comes from. Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. Jesus says, judge not, that you be not judged, but we can't stop there. Context matters. Keep reading and you'll see Jesus' warning against hypocritical judgment, not all forms of judgment. In verses 3 through 5, Jesus talks about the man who tries to take a speck out of his brother's eye while he has a log in his own. He calls that person a hypocrite. But what does Jesus say to do? He doesn't say leave your brother alone. He says, first take the log out of your own eye, then you can help your brother. That's not a ban on judgment. That's a command to judge with humility. In other words, don't pretend to be righteous while living in sin. Don't point fingers when you haven't dealt with your own heart. But once you have, you're called to help others. That is righteous judgment. In fact, just a few verses later in Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, Jesus says, beware of false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. How can you obey that unless you make a judgment? How do you recognize a false prophet if you never evaluate their teaching? Jesus also says in John 7:24, do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. That's a command to judge. Just do it rightly. So the popular idea that Christians aren't supposed to judge at all is just not biblical. We're told not to judge like hypocrites, but we are called to speak truth when something is wrong. The Apostle Paul reinforces this. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, there was serious sin happening in the church, sexual immorality that even shocked the outside world. And what does Paul say? He rebukes the church for ignoring it. He says, is it not those inside the church whom you are to judge? Paul makes a clear distinction. We don't go around judging unbelievers, but inside the church, we must care enough to correct. Judgment in the Bible isn't about superiority. It's about love and protection. It's about keeping the church healthy and calling people back to the truth. Think about it. If someone you care about is walking toward a cliff, would you say nothing? Or would you call out to them to stop? That's what loving biblical judgment looks like. It's not about condemnation, it's about rescue. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment.